forte, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
Live from historic Leimert Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley, and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavismiley.com. That's thetavismiley.com, or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today. In our second hour, conversation with the legendary CBS News investigative journalist Lowell Bergman on the impact of 9/11 almost 25 years later. You might recall that Bergman was portrayed by Al Pacino in the movie The Insider. To my mind, the impact of 9/11 continues to reverberate through American society almost a quarter century later, that is, manifesting in, I think, ways that are both visible and hidden, in ways that shape still our politics, public health, to be sure, national security, collective memory, and our fractured unity, and for that matter, notions of patriotism versus nationalism. What is the continuing toll, and what are the global reverberations of 9/11 all these years later in the era of Donald Trump, who recently signed that executive order to change the Department of Defense to the Department of War? A lot to talk about almost 25 years after 9/11 in the second hour with Lowell Bergman, iconic journalist, so many years at CBS. In our third hour,
Bill, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you for incredible leadership, including getting this group together.
Thank you, Bill. That was very nice.
I want to thank you for including me this evening. It's incredible to be among everyone here, particularly you and the First Lady. I've always enjoyed having dinner and interacting.
AI is going to change everything. You hear all of us saying that. But the fact that you are our president and you recognize this right away and you've unleashed American innovation and creativity.
Echo the comments of Tim and others. Thank you so much for getting us all together, and thank you for being such a pro-business, pro-innovation president. It's a very refreshing change.
I think it's a real incredible inflection point right now in AI. The fact that your administration is supporting our companies instead of fighting with them.
We look forward to working together, and thanks for your leadership.
Great job you're doing. Incredible, really, job. Would anybody like to say anything? You have a lot of geniuses on my right.
Well, thanks for hosting us. I mean, this is quite a group to get together, and I think all of the companies here are just making huge investments in the country in order to build out data centers and infrastructure to power the next wave of innovation. So it's we don't often get together as the CEOs of the different companies, but it's good to see everyone.
The audio you just heard included the voices of tech leaders like Bill Gates, Tim Cook, Safra Katz, Sam Altman, Sergey Brin, Sundar Pichai, and Mark Zuckerberg all those tech leaders sucking up to Donald Trump at the White House recently. In our final hour today, we'll talk to Tristan Harris, co-founder of the Center for Humane Technology and host of the very popular podcast, Your Undivided Attention, about the real implications of last week's dinner at the White House on everyday people. But in this first hour, let's talk politics with the president of PoliSol Public Affairs, Nina Smith. Before I bring Nina on the line, the big news, obviously, of today is the excerpts that have now been released from the new book from former Vice President Kamala Harris called 107 Days. So let me, as best I can, give you a sense of, I'm reading from a variety of sources here who have pulled various excerpts from the new book, which drops later this month, September 23rd, to be exact, I recall. But the excerpts are everywhere. And I want to just give you a sense of some of what she has to say in this book, in case you haven't heard about it yet. And then when we come forward, we'll get Nina's thoughts on it and sort of jump from there. A lot to cover, but this is the story of the moment. And so I want to just kind of give you a sense of what I know, at least what I've been reading and pulling from a variety of sources about excerpts in this book. In no particular order, let me start with this. The top line of all the articles written about these excerpts so far is that she laments the recklessness, that's her word, the recklessness that led to Joe Biden's 2024 campaign. Let me just read a few of the excerpts. It's Joe and Jill's decision, we all said, like a mantra, as if we'd all been hypnotized. Was it grace or was it recklessness? In retrospect, I think it was recklessness. The stakes were simply too high. This wasn't a choice that should have been left to an individual's ego, an individual's ambition. It should have been more than a personal decision. Close quote. Ouch. In retrospect, it was recklessness. Stakes were too high. Not a decision, not a choice that should have been left to an individual's ego, an individual's ambition. Just bouncing around here with some of these excerpts of the debate that we all recall. We wish we could forget it, the one debate between Trump and Biden. She writes, and I quote, "I don't believe it was incapacity. If I believed that, I would have said so. As loyal as I am to President Biden, I am more loyal to my country," close quote. She doesn't believe that Joe Biden in any way was incapacitated by a lack of mental acuity. More excerpts. She complains in the book that the Biden White House did not adequately defend her when Republicans or conservative media mounted attacks or smeared her job performance. She writes, and I quote, "They had a huge comms team. They had Karine Jean-Pierre briefing in the press room every day. But getting anything positive said about my work or any defense against untrue attacks was almost impossible," close quote. Shots down, shots fired, man down, woman down in this case. That's a shot at Karine Jean-Pierre if I ever heard one. She goes on to say that the Biden people, quote, "did not like the contrast that was emerging," close quote, when she started polling well and the president was not. Let me pause for a second. She goes in on the Biden team, and I mean she goes in on them. It's not just that shot she takes at Karine Jean-Pierre. She goes in. More of the excerpts when we come forward, and then we'll talk to Nina. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Hey, KBLA 1580 delegation, your health matters to us. We know that information is power, especially when it comes to prevention and treatment. That's why we're proud to introduce the brand new KBLA Health and Wellness Hub. This online space is built just for you, connecting our community to trusted health resources, culturally relevant care, and even access to diverse clinical trials and emerging therapies. Whether you're looking for information on common conditions, mental health health support, or just want to stay on top of your wellness journey, we got you. And the best part, it's all on our website at KBLA1580.com. Accessible, empowering, community-focused. So just go to KBLA1580.com and click on the Health and Wellness Hub icon, because knowledge is power and your health is everything. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
And the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
There are all kinds of headlines in every publication you can imagine trying to get at some of the excerpts from this new book called 107 Days, written by Kamala Harris, which drops officially on September 23rd. But everybody's talking about what we do know at this point in terms of what she has to say in this book. I've been fascinated, as I always am, to read a variety of sources, and I've read more sources than I can count right about now in preparation for today's show about these excerpts. And in one way, shape, or form, they're all referring to, they being the media, all referring to this book as a stunning attack on Joe Biden and his aides. That's the basic takeaway, that the book is a stunning attack on Joe Biden and his aides. I want to unpack that word stunning with Nina Smith when I get to her in just a moment. I appreciate her patience. So just to give me a moment to sort of set the frame for what we know that's in this book. I continue where I left off. I quote from Vice President Kamala Harris in this book, 107 Days. Quote, "When polls indicated that I was getting more popular, the people around him didn't like the contrast that was emerging. None of them grasped that if I did well, he did well. That given the concerns about his age, my visible success as his vice president was vital. It would serve as a testament to his judgment in choosing me and reassurance that if something happened, the country was in good hands. My success was more important for him. My success was more important for him," close quote. I think Kamala's a little delusional on that, but let me put a pin in that for a moment. She goes on to write, his team didn't get it. His team didn't get it. Again, more attacks on, more indictments of the Biden team. Let me continue. With regard to his mental acuity, Joe Biden, that is, she writes, and I quote, "On his worst day, he was more deeply knowledgeable, more capable of exercising judgment, and far more compassionate than Donald Trump on his best. But at age 81, Joe got tired. That's when his age showed up in physical and verbal stumbles. I don't think it's any surprise that the debate debacle happened right after 2 back-to-back trips to Europe and a flight to the West Coast for a Hollywood fundraiser. I don't believe it was incapacity. If I believed that, I would have said so. As loyal as I am to President Biden, I am more loyal to my country." More quotes from the book. "When Republicans mischaracterized my role as border czar, no one in the White House comms team helped me to effectively push back and explain what I'd really been tasked to do, nor to highlight any of the progress I had achieved. Instead, I shouldered the blame for the porous border, an issue that had proved intractable for Democratic and Republican administrations alike." One final excerpt, that is, at least for now. She complains about the fact that after taking over as the nominee, nearly a month of Democratic trauma ensues. Biden finally delivers an Oval Office address to discuss his exit, and she writes about that even with a sour note. She says, and I quote, "It was almost 9 minutes into the 11-minute address before he mentioned me." Close quote. Again, the read of this book so far, and these are excerpts. I've been around long enough to know that it's hard to see a book in its full scope if you're getting excerpts from the book, but these excerpts are damning. Again, it's just a stunning attack, to quote one of these headlines, on Joe Biden and his aide. So that's where we'll start. I don't know how far we'll get past that. There's a whole lot to unpack here. Again, Nina Smith is our guest in this first hour, former senior advisor to Stacey Abrams and president of PoliSol Public Affairs. Speaking of public affairs, Nina Smith, first of all, how are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thank you. It's great to be with you.
It's good to have you on. Speaking of public affairs, what do you make of the public affairs lane that Kamala Harris is now running in?
I mean, it's when I heard about this topic that we would be talking about this, and actually when I saw the news this morning, it took me back to 2020 and right after the election, and an interview I did with Melissa Harris Perry for Harper's Bazaar. And in it, we were talking about the prospect of the first Black vice president stepping into office. And the concern we expressed in that moment has come full circle for me, which was this, that the Biden team may not have been prepared to position her the way she needed to be positioned to be successful in that role. Meaning, their awareness of what it takes to ensure that Black women in leadership are protected and they have the ability to succeed and not face barriers to, on the small things to trying to get the big things done. And unfortunately, that prediction and that sentiment and that fear that we all collectively shared in that article has come home to roost. And when you think about the world we're living in, the chaos we're experiencing, from the economy to, just existing in some instances for parts of our community, it's hard to say that it wasn't reckless, if you think about it, because we're facing the consequences of these choices. And, I'll just add here that I think the recklessness piece is very interesting to also connect to the fact that there was a promise when he ran that he would only do one term. So if you're only doing one term, the expectation is that you're grooming someone else for the role. You're preparing them and positioning them for that role. And, again, I was not sure, due to some of what I was seeing even in the campaign, that was going to be the case for her, and it turned out to come to fruition.
All right. So there are a few things you've said I want to give you a chance to unpack. I start with this. When you say that the Biden team wasn't prepared to protect her and to make sure that she succeeded, and you referenced this article in Harper's Bazaar, what did y'all, I haven't seen that article, what did y'all suggest in this article that the Biden team should have done that they did not do, to use your words, protect her and make sure that she succeeded? What did they miss?
I mean, I think, yes, it's important for you to have foreign policy experience, but they gave her a policy issue in immigration that is so complicated to unwind and has been very difficult for the public to grasp in a way that would allow for that position to be a good one, right? I think what happened there was they gave her a big issue that, yes, would expose her internationally, but it was the wrong issue, right? And I think because there's so much on the national level that she could have been engaging in, or they could have positioned her along side, right? She could have been engaging with the unions more, right? Or being more visible with the unions to kind of solidify those relationships. It's just little strategic pieces that I think they missed. And I think it was, personally, I could kind of, you see it all the time in different sectors where Black women are put into positions, or people of color in general are put into positions, and they're not given the tools, the environment, the advisors to be successful.
Yeah.
And, that's what we're seeing here.
So there are a couple things that come to mind. And again, you and I are just having a conversation here, so don't take any of this personal. I'm not taking it to your comments personal. But you said something just now that made my neck, I'm not a black woman, and my neck was rolling for just a second while you were talking. Let me tell you why. When you suggest that immigration was the wrong issue because it was so complicated, you almost sound like, as a black woman, she couldn't handle it. So I box every other day, and I was in the ring last night, and everybody at the gym is talking about this big fight. Got a huge major fight this weekend that everybody's going to be watching on Saturday night. And if you want to be a champion, you got to fight the best. You're never going to be regarded as a champion if you don't take on the best. So there are some leaders who want the toughest issues. I remember talking to Bill Clinton about this a couple of times. And one of the things that Clinton lamented, whatever one thinks of Bill Clinton, just it's a metaphor, take my point here. Whatever one thinks of Bill Clinton, Clinton would complain to me in our private conversations that I'm now making public, that he wishes he'd had some major, major crisis on his watch. So he could show Americans what he could really do in a crisis moment. He wishes, for example, that he'd been present when 9/11 happened. I could give you any number of other things. And to be sure, there were crises during that eight-year period, but I mean something like really, really hefty. If you want to be a champion, again, you got to fight the best. You got to take on the tough issues. When you suggest that Kamala could have been in charge of working with unions, I could do that. You can do that. As vice president, she was given a real serious issue. And had she been able to prove on that issue that as a black woman she could really put it down, that might have increased her stature. So it almost sounds like we're complaining that the issue that he gave her was too tough for a black woman to handle. I know you didn't mean that, and that's why I'm raising it to give you a chance to clarify.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about that within the context of, if you're not, we say the saying all the time. It sounds cliche, but it's true. If a tree falls in a forest.
Oh, yeah. Did anybody hear it? Yeah. You make it sound. Yeah.
If you're not backing up, and that's what I'm talking about. It was, you gave her that issue, and then you didn't cover her back home. You didn't communicate to people about what she was doing. And you didn't push back when, as fiercely as you could have, when people were giving her this label, when people were, talking about aspects of her personality rather than the substance of the work she was doing. I'm not saying she was incapable of handling it. What I'm saying is that the Biden team was incapable of doing the work needed to explain an issue like that to the American people, and to make sure that the administration's covered, that, even as the different parts of this issue, from the legislation that has been any sort of reform that's been stuck in Congress for years, any sort of like real systemic reform that's been trapped. Absent that, the American people won't connect to the root causes of immigration. A lot of advocates like myself were very pleased with that, because yes, that is a problem. We have to solve that piece, but you can't do one without the other, and you can't communicate about one without the other either. And that's where I was coming from.
I appreciate that. I just want to give you a chance to clarify that. You used the word reckless, and you said that I'm quoting you, I can't see it as anything other than recklessness. So in that sense, Nina Smith agrees with Kamala Harris that it was recklessness that led to the Biden 2024 debacle. There's an excerpt in this book where Kamala suggested, I'm trying to find it, I got so many papers in front of me trying to find all these quotes from all these different sources, Nina, so forgive me. But there's an excerpt in this book where Kamala basically says that for her to have gone to the president and to tell her essentially what she really thought about his recklessness would have been disloyal, that Biden would have taken it as poisonous, that phrase sticks out in my head, as whatever that excerpt is, she uses the phrase poisonous disloyalty. I would have been guilty, or he would have at least regarded me as being poisonously disloyal. That's her phrase in one excerpt from the book. I'm trying to figure out how what she's writing now in this moment won't be seen by the Biden team as disloyal. As I sit here right now, the Biden team has not commented on anything about these excerpts. No comments as yet as we sit for this conversation. That could change. I'm on the air for 3 hours. That could change. But at this moment, no comment from the Biden team. I can't imagine that they aren't going to read this as disloyal. So to her mind, apparently, it's not disloyal to write this now, but it would have been disloyal to tell him then how you really feel, I'm missing something, Nina. And I'm not naive about the fact that you're working at the pleasure of the vice president. Now she's free to say what she wants to say. But to that word disloyal is telling him the truth in real time. And that's the problem with too many leaders. They don't want to tell people the truth. They don't want to tell the American people the truth. They don't want to tell themselves the truth. They don't want to tell their bosses the truth. How would it have been more disloyal to tell him how you felt then versus the way this disloyalty is going to be read right now? Does that make sense as a question?
It does, but I mean, I think to me, I go back to her excerpts, and it seems like a confessional and a reflection on that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And really just saying that it was a mistake for her to not do that, that she is admitting that this is something that has had to happen. And I almost feel like she has to do this. This is almost like a cleansing of sorts to position her political future. She has to do this. I don't think she has a choice. And I think this book will likely give us a lot of those reflections. And sometimes reflections are, like what they say, hindsight is 20/20. Sure. And, sometimes those pictures can be cutting. And I think that's what we're going to see in this book.
Yep. There are all kinds of words, as I said earlier, that you see in the headlines today describing these excerpts. I've used the word stunning a couple of times. I've seen stunning. I've seen shocking, all kinds of synonyms that I've seen today, reading these pieces about how people are describing the excerpts from this book, 107 Days. But to refer to these excerpts and this attack or this explanation, whatever word you want to use, to refer to it as stunning is a bit stunning for me. I don't think there's anything stunning about it. I'll unpack that and get Nina's take on that when we come forward. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Police in Detroit, Michigan are cracking down on speeding and reckless driving on Gratiot Avenue after 2 deadly crashes. Black Captain Cedric Dunbar says residents welcome the increased patrols and traffic stops.
The traffic stops aren't just for issuing tickets. It's for educating drivers and changing driver behavior.
They're stopping drivers for speeding, reckless driving, and more. 4 council members in Jacksonville, Florida, 3 of them black, walked out of a budget meeting over amendments banning spending on DEI, immigration, and abortion. Raymond Johnson, Jimmy Peluso, Jacoby Pittman, and Reggie Gaffney Jr. called the move a bullying tactic. The amendments later failed. And Miami Dolphins star Tyreek Hill is accused of domestic violence by estranged wife Keita Vaccaro, citing 8 incidents during their 17-month marriage. Hill denies the claims, calling them a smear campaign and a shakedown. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The LA Sparks beat the Phoenix Mercury Tuesday night, but they were eliminated from contention for the WNBA playoffs. The Seattle Storm's 1-point win over Golden State Tuesday night clinched the 8th and final playoff spot for the Storm. The Sparks needed Seattle to lose to stay in contention. This is the 4th straight year the Sparks have failed to make the playoffs. The Sparks wrap up the season Thursday night at home against the Las Vegas Aces. The Dodgers increased their lead to 2 games over San Diego in the NL West. Right fielder Teoscar Hernandez hit 2 home runs Tuesday night to spark the Dodgers' 7-2 win over Colorado. Top 5 college football teams in this week's top 25 poll: Ohio State, Penn State, LSU, Oregon, and Miami. Jackson State remained at number 15 in this week's NCAA Division I AA rankings. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. It's the Sleep Number biggest sale of the year. All beds on sale, up to 50% off the limited edition smart bed. Plus free premium delivery with any smart bed and adjustable base. Ends Labor Day. All Sleep Number smart beds offer temperature solutions for your best sleep. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
Are you ready to be a part of the conversation that will help shape our nation's future? Get ready to join us for the Left Coast Forum, Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech, where progressive voices will come together to tackle the issues that matter most to working families across Los Angeles and beyond. From economic justice to climate action, from healthcare to housing, we're bringing together the brightest minds and most passionate advocates for real solutions and real change. With workshops, 2 major keynote addresses, and a closing reception with great music and good food. It's the Left Coast Forum, where your voice matters and your ideas take action. Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the LA Progressive. The future won't wait, and neither should you. Mark your calendar now to be there and be heard. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Nina Smith, our guest in this hour, former senior advisor to Stacey Abrams and the president of PoliSol Public Affairs. Again, on any given day, I never know where this show is going to take us. I just roll with it, and oftentimes we are captivated and, frankly, just obligated to talk about what is breaking news, and the breaking news of the hour, of the day, are the excerpts from the book 107 Days from Kamala Harris, former vice president. And so, again, I'm just in that break even, just reading more pieces, more excerpts that come out of this book, and looking at these headlines and the way that writers are reporting about what's in the text. So I said a moment ago that these words, stunning and shocking, and all these words I could give you to describe, that writers are using to describe what's in this book, are kind of funny to me. I don't know that I find any of this stunning, any of this shocking. If you followed this administration over the 4-year period, clearly there was some dysfunction. And to the points that Nina was making earlier, we could see in real time that Kamala perhaps was not being as respected or as regarded or used properly. And I don't mean used in terms of being used up. I mean deployed, maybe a better word, deployed properly as vice president, and all this. I mean, there were stories for 4 years about this relationship. There was always the storyline that that the president's wife, the first lady, Jill Biden, Dr. Jill Biden, that story never abated over 4 years, that she didn't like Kamala Harris. She wasn't a fan because she had never forgiven Kamala for that attack, that assault that she levied against Joe Biden when they were running against each other for the Democratic nomination, and that Jill never got over that. While she understood that her husband, might have been served well by choosing a woman as his running mate and a black woman. She understood the politics of it. But on a personal level, that story persisted, that she never really liked Kamala because she didn't forgive Kamala for going in so hard and so ugly and so vicious in that South Carolina debate, as I recall, against her husband, Joe Biden. So that story was there. My point is that none of this stuff is shocking to me. It's not stunning to me. And I'm curious, Nina, as to how you read that. I mean, to act as if this was, a love affair, is I think would be misreading the tea leaves over a 4-year period, say nothing of what she's saying in the book today. That's my read of it. What's your take on it?
I mean, I agree. These headlines are these outlets are some of the same outlets who would cover those stories about the tension in the White House. And so none of this is surprising to folks who have been paying attention, who have been kind of watching and seeing what is going on in Washington and what was going on with her. And so it was very apparent for those of us who saw those stories. And folks did their best to mobilize to support her. But I do believe that she wasn't served as well as she could have been, being in that space and on that team.
I'm looking again at all these excerpts and also looking at comments that are coming in from everywhere and trying to weave all this together in real time. Somebody asked this question, and I think it's kind of fascinating. I haven't had a chance to think about it myself, so I'm going to put it out there and see what Nina thinks about it in real time as well. It says, Tavis, do you think this tell-all signals that she will not run again for president, or that she will have a shot to run? Because now she has nothing to lose by coming out with these criticisms. So the question essentially is, how do we think this book positions her or doesn't position her for another run? There's always an end game. A book is never just a book. I've been at this long enough to know, and Nina, especially given the work that she does at PoliSol Public Affairs, she understands that a book is never just a book. There's always an end game. And, when it comes to running for governor of California, I expected that Kamala would never do that. All this talk notwithstanding, I figured she wouldn't do it for one very simple reason. She had to make a decision, quickly, essentially, comparatively speaking, a quick decision, although she took a while, about whether to run for governor in California. But here's what we know. This ain't rocket science. If you decide you're running for governor of California, you certainly can't run for president a year and a half, 2 years from now. You can't do both. She had a real-time decision to make. Whether she's going to run for president again, I do not know. What I do know is that if she had run for governor of California, she could not then turn around and run again for president of the United States. She couldn't do both. So at least by not running for governor of California, she has not foreclosed on the possibility that she could run for president. So that's a lot to say, but I guess the question ultimately is, what's the end game here? Eventually, we'll get past the excerpts. Eventually, we'll all read the book cover to cover. Eventually, after we talk about it for a few days, we'll move on to something else. But ultimately, does this have any impact to your mind? You are a public affairs expert. What's this say or not say about what the end game might be for her vis-a-vis running for president again, Nina Smith?
I think she had to make a call. As you presented it, that is the reality of the timeline she's up against, right? If she were to run in 2026, that does limit her ability to run again in 2028. It would almost make it seem as if that 2026 run was a holding seat for her while she's running for, the office of president. And so I feel like this book is necessary for keeping that option open for her. I think this sort of confessional is a way for her to separate herself from the perspective of she is her own person and has her own thoughts about different issues and the like. Someone else that mentioned, I've been looking at different coverage, someone else mentioned that that moment on The View where she was asked about the differences between herself and the president, and she, did not take that opportunity to differentiate herself as a moment that was lost for her. And I think this book is an attempt to kind of take back that moment and, you know, really tell her story. So that's my thought on it.
Yep. More excerpts here. As I said, I'm reading from a variety of sources in real time, so if it sounds a little disjointed, forgive me, but that's what happens when you're trying to read a book while you're having a conversation on live radio. But there are a couple of things that I'm seeing right now that relate to a couple of things that Nina and I have already talked about in this conversation. Let me start with this on Biden's decision to run for president again. For the first time, Harris publicly admits that she should have considered telling Biden not to run for a second term. I hadn't even gotten to this excerpt yet, hadn't seen it yet, but that's exactly what I opined on moments ago about this notion of disloyalty. So you expect that what you're writing now won't be seen as disloyal, but telling him he shouldn't run would have been seen as disloyal then? I'm not sure I buy that dialectic. But here's the point, and I quote from Vice President Harris in her book. During all those months of growing panic, should I have told Joe to consider not running? Perhaps. But the American people had chosen him before in the same matchup. Maybe he was right to believe that they would do so again. Plausible, but this is me talking now. Plausible, but not persuasive. In retrospect, the best you can come up with is that perhaps I should have told him. As I said, plausible, but not persuasive, at least for me. To the issue of the relationship with the White House, another excerpt here. A vast portion of the book features Harris's complaints, we are told, about deep-seated distrust that she alleges Biden's staff harbored towards her. As I said earlier, she is going in on the Biden team, if not Joe Biden, certainly the people around him. And this connects quite nicely to what Nina and I were literally just discussing. Let me read another excerpt. Because I'd gone after him over busing in the 2019 primary debate, I came into the White House with what we lawyers call a rebuttable presumption. I had to prove my loyalty time and time again. I'm pausing for a second. We were just talking about this with regard to how Joe Biden regarded or didn't regard Kamala Harris for going after Joe in that debate. So here's the excerpt. I repeat again. Because I'd gone after him, over busing in the 2019 primary debate, I came into the White House with what we lawyers call a rebuttable presumption. I had to prove my loyalty time and time again. When Fox News attacked me on everything from my laugh to my tone of voice, to whom I dated in my 20s or claimed I was a DEI hire, the White House rarely pushed back with my actual resume. 2 terms elected DA, top cop in the second largest Department of Justice in the United States, senator representing 1 in 8 Americans. She goes on now, close quote. She goes on to describe her frustrations with the White House comms team, which I mentioned earlier in case you tuned in. They had a huge comms team, she writes. They had Karine Jean-Pierre briefing in the press room every day. But getting anything positive said about my work or any defense against untrue attacks was almost impossible, close quote. The question for Nina Smith when we come forward is how this book is going to, let me rephrase this. How are Democrats in the inner circle going to regard Kamala going in this way? Now, at a certain level, you have to calculate, you have to figure that she calculated. It doesn't matter at this point. But she's going in on a lot of high-profile Democrats inside that Biden circle. Say nothing of the president himself. But these shots that she's firing at Karine Jean-Pierre, this is a black woman firing at another black woman. I digress on that for now. We'll talk to Nina Smith about that part when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte. Let's preserve black land stories before they're lost forever. I want to personally invite you to be a part of something historic. As journalist in residence for the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, I've joined forces with powerhouse attorney and social justice champion George Fothery, the man who helped make history by delivering justice to the Bruce family in Manhattan Beach, securing the first known return of land unjustly taken from black black owners by a local government. That victory was monumental, but it was just the beginning. For generations, black families have acquired land through grit, faith, and determination, only to lose it through violence, legal loopholes, forced sales, and systematic racism. What's been taken goes far beyond dirt and deeds. It's the erasure of wealth, identity, and legacy. That's why we've launched the Black Land Loss Narrative Archive Project, a national effort to collect, protect, and preserve the stories of black land loss before they're buried, forgotten, or erased altogether. Because there's power in telling black stories, there is resistance in remembering, and there's justice in being seen and heard. This is where you come in. We're inviting you to be a part of this historic Black Narrative Archive. If you or someone you know has experienced land loss, displacement, or forced property sales, your story deserves to be heard and remembered. Your story belongs in this archive. Your truth matters not just to your family, but to our collective future. Visit blacklandloss.org today. Fill out our simple intake form and add your voice to the National Archive of Remembrance, Resilience, and Reckoning. Let's make these stories live on, not in whispers, but on the record. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up.
Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Less monologue, more dialogue. Tavis Smiley continues right now.
Tavis Smiley and Nina Smith continue right about now. Nina, let me give you a couple more excerpts because these, again, I'm reading as fast as I can. These things tie into a couple of things that we've talked about here. For example, Nina was saying earlier in this conversation that the real problem was that the Biden team did not properly, paraphrasing what Nina said, didn't properly position her, did not properly protect her, didn't give her the right stuff to work on, if I can paraphrase what Nina said earlier. And Kamala writes in the book, is a quote, "No one around the president advocated, give her something she can win with." No one around the president advocated, give her something she can win with. That's a direct quote. Without knowing this was in here, Nina, before you made that comment, it sounds like the vice president is echoing what you said earlier. It's not so much about protecting her or even, protecting her as much as it is properly positioning her. Apparently, she feels that they didn't give her something that she could win with. Your take on it, since she seems to be agreeing with you.
That's exactly my point. And that it's so interesting how that came into fruition through an excerpt, but it's exactly what I was talking about. And it's something that, again, if you don't understand this, working in politics and working with women politicians, it's going to hamper your ability to, have them win elections and be successful at their jobs. And it's called the double bind. Okay. And it's this expectation that comes about for a lot of women in politics, where they have to be both strong, but then also feminine.
Yeah.
And it's like holding the, taking on some of the characteristics of a man. They're criticized for not doing that, but when they do it, they're also criticized for not embodying, women-like characteristics.
Yeah.
And it's a paradox that a lot of women in leadership face. And if you don't understand that and don't work around that, it's going to harm that leader long term. And I think what she's doing right now is damage control on that front, because there are a lot of people within the Democratic Party and within the establishment that look at this individual and say, well, she lost.
Yeah.
Why should I support her again?
Another excerpt. I'm sorry. Another excerpt here. I often learn, quoting from Vice President Harris in this book, 107 Days, I often learn that the president's staff was adding fuel to negative narratives that sprang up around me. One narrative that took a stubborn hold was that I had a chaotic office and unusually high staff turnover during my first year. The first year in any White House sees staff churn. Working for the first woman vice president, my staff had the additional challenge of confronting gendered stereotypes, a constant battle that could prove exhausting. I'm pausing to offer my own commentary. That's exactly what Nina was just saying. It's funny how these excerpts are sort of paralleling what Nina is saying in this conversation. But again, I repeat, quoting her, working for the first woman vice president, my staff had the additional challenge of confronting gendered stereotypes, a constant battle that could prove exhausting. I continue quoting from Vice President Harris. And when the stories were unfair or inaccurate, the president's inner circle seemed fine with it. Indeed, it seemed as if they decided I should be knocked down a little bit more. Close quote. Ouch. More when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley.
Are you ready to be a part of the conversation that will help shape our nation's future? Get ready to join us for the Left Coast Forum, Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech, where progressive voices will come together to tackle the issues that matter most to working families across Los Angeles and beyond. From economic justice to climate action, from healthcare to housing, we're bringing together the brightest minds and most passionate advocates for real solutions and real change. With workshops, 2 major keynote addresses, and a closing reception with great music and good food. It's the Left Coast Forum, where your voice matters and your ideas take action. Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the LA Progressive. The future won't wait, and neither should you. Mark your calendar now to be there and be heard. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind: to help honest folks out of their timeshares permanently. Today, I run Wesley with my 2 sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-687-7979. That's 800-687-7979. 800-687-7979.
More honesty than you can handle.
More empowerment than you can imagine.
You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
One final clip here. She makes reference to a speech she gave on the humanitarian crisis in Gaza in Selma, Alabama. I remember that speech well. back in March of 2024. I quote, "It was a speech that had been vetted and approved by the White House and the National Security Council. It went viral, and the West Wing was displeased. I was castigated for apparently delivering the speech too well. Their thinking was zero-sum. If she's shining, he's dimmed." Close quote. If she's shining, he's dimmed. Whatever you think of this, and I've had an hour here to give you as many excerpts as I can from this book, it's fair to say that she's going in on Biden's team, to some extent on the president himself. Shots fired at Karine Jean-Pierre, the black press secretary, history making in her own right, as was Kamala Harris. Two questions here as I'm out of time here. I got about 2 minutes left to go. Nina, I thank you for working with me in real time as we both tried to work our way through this and figure this out the best we can. Again, I got days now in front of me to read the book, and we'll have a more in-depth conversation, but just trying to work through some of these excerpts. How is she going to be regarded by Democrats, whether she decides to run or not into the future? Democrats, and Democrats do this all the time. Democrats always go in on Democrats. I don't know that Republicans write books like these. Maybe they do. But very quickly, how are Democrats going to regard her in the coming months and years?
I mean, she's going to have to overcome the loss in terms of perception in their minds. And I think this is part of an effort to do that.
Right.
And, depending on how well this book tour goes, how well she positions herself over the next few years, she could very well be a contender. I think this is her first attempt to really take her story back, and it's important that she does it if she wants to run.
And where's the line? You're an expert in the, I keep saying expert and excerpt, the words are too close together. Where is the line, very quickly here, between telling her truth and coming across as whining? I haven't got to the part of the book yet where she takes any responsibility, any complicity for her own failures. But isn't there a line in between truth and whining, at least in terms of how it will be perceived?
You're hitting on something that's super important. Yes. As part of that reflection, part of reflection is taking accountability. And unless she does that in this process, it's going to hurt her in the long run. So yes, absolutely.
Nina Smith, I am grateful for your time today. Again, I didn't know where this hour would take us, and again, breaking news is breaking news. You understand that better than anybody, given the work that you have done. But thank you for playing so nice with me in the sandbox. I deeply appreciate it. We'll do it again, and the topic won't be a singular issue. But thank you for your time today.
Of course, thank you.
I
Talk to you soon.
Deeply appreciate you. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Police in Detroit, Michigan are cracking down on speeding and reckless driving on Gratiot Avenue after 2 deadly crashes. Black Captain Cedric Dunbar says residents welcome the increased patrols and traffic stops.
The traffic stops aren't just for issuing tickets. It's for educating drivers and changing driver behavior.
They're stopping drivers for speeding, reckless driving, and more. 4 council members in Jacksonville, Florida, 3 of them black, walked out of a budget meeting over amendments banning spending on DEI, immigration, and abortion. Raman Johnson, Jimmy Peluso, Jacoby Pittman, and Reggie Gaffney Jr. called the move a bullying tactic. The amendments later failed. And Miami Dolphins star Tyreek Hill is accused of domestic violence by estranged wife Keita Vaccaro, citing 8 incidents during their 17-month marriage. Hill denies the claims, calling them a smear campaign and a shakedown. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The LA Sparks beat the Phoenix Mercury Tuesday night, but they were eliminated from contention for the WNBA playoffs. The Seattle Storm's 1-point win over Golden State Tuesday night clinched the 8th and final playoff spot for the Storm. The Sparks needed Seattle to lose to stay in contention. This is the 4th straight year the Sparks have failed to make the playoffs. The Sparks wrap up the season Thursday night at home against the Las Vegas Aces. The Dodgers increased their lead to 2 games over San Diego in the NL West. Right fielder Teoscar Hernandez hit 2 home runs Tuesday night to spark the Dodgers Chargers' 7-2 win over Colorado. Top 5 college football teams in this week's top 25 poll: Ohio State, Penn State, LSU, Oregon, and Miami. Jackson State remained at number 15 in this week's NCAA Division I AA rankings. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you ready to be a part of the conversation that will help shape our nation's future? Get ready to join us for the Left Coast Forum, Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech, where progressive voices will come together to tackle the issues that matter most to working families across Los Angeles and beyond. From economic justice to climate action, from healthcare to housing, we're bringing together the brightest minds and most passionate advocates for real solutions and real change. With workshops, 2 major keynote addresses, and a closing reception with great music and good food. It's the Left Coast Forum, where your voice matters and your ideas take action. Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the LA Progressive. The future won't wait, and neither should you. Mark your calendar now to be there and be heard. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details.